Beyonce couldn't get pregnant. Not naturally, not normally. What I do know is this. When Beyonce got on that stage with that fake baby bump.
Blue don't have Beyonce nothing. She's just light-skinned. I always thought it was kind of weird how she did resemble Jay-Z to a certain extent. But no, that girl is starting to look like Kathy to me. The eyes, the cheekbones, the jawline, the speltness of her.
This is one of those moments where hip-hop stops feeling like music and starts feeling like a courtroom with Wi-Fi. Because when 50 Cent decides to stir chaos, it's never subtle, never accidental, and never without someone powerful suddenly checking their phone in silence. And this time, the alleged bomb he tossed didn't just shake timelines. It rattled one of the most carefully guarded legacies in entertainment. Jay-Z isn't just famous, he's fortified. Billionaire status. Cultural untouchable. Married into royalty-level celebrity. A man whose image is curated tighter than a luxury brand launch. And now, according to resurfaced claims reignited by 50 Cent, there's an alleged love child story that refuses to stay buried, complete with whispers, names, and an identity. The internet swears it's finally piecing together. This wasn't some random blog rumor crawling out of obscurity. This was a calculated spark from hip-hop's most notorious instigator. And once that spark hit social media, it spread faster than a leaked diss track. Memes, timelines, old screenshots resurrected like digital fossils. Everyone asking the same question at the same time. If this is nothing, why won't it die? And if it's something, why is everyone so quiet? By the end of this story, you'll understand why this alleged leak feels less like gossip and more like a stress test on power itself. Hip-hop has a strange relationship with rumors. The louder the silence around them, the stronger they grow. And the alleged story of Jay-Z's secret love child is one of those rumors that never disappeared. It just learned how to hide. It lived in dusty blog posts, buried forum threads, and conversations whispered at industry parties where phones stayed face down on tables. Everybody heard it. Nobody touched it. Until 50 Cent allegedly decided to drag it back into the light. Like a receipt nobody wanted scanned. This isn't just about gossip. This is about power, control, and what happens when someone known for a strategic chaos decides to poke a legacy that prides itself on being untouchable. Jay-Z isn't just famous, he's fortified. Billionaire status, cultural icon, business mogul. A man whose public narrative is so tightly managed it feels like it was edited by a board of directors. Every flaw has already been acknowledged, polished, and repackaged as growth. Which is exactly why the idea of an alleged hidden chapter makes people uncomfortable. Because if Jay-Z already told us everything, why does this rumor still exist? That's the question 50 Cent allegedly reignited. 50 has never been subtle, but he's also never reckless. He understands the difference between clout chasing and narrative disruption. And when he references something as explosive as a secret child rumor, he doesn't need proof to cause damage. He just needs memory. Because once people remember a story they were told to forget, the internet does the rest. The alleged connection to Kathy White has hovered around Jay-Z for years. Back then, it was dismissed as conspiracy talk, the kind of story blogs flirt with but never commit to. But time has a funny way of changing perception. What once sounded unbelievable starts feeling unresolved, especially when no one ever fully addresses it. When 50 Cent allegedly brought the claim back into conversation, it didn't feel emotional. It felt casual, and that's what made it dangerous. No yelling, no rant, just a reminder. Almost like saying, y'all remember this? And suddenly, everybody did. Social media exploded not because people believed it immediately, but because they remembered hearing it before. That's the part nobody talks about. This wasn't brand new information. It was recycled memory, and recycled memory hits harder than fresh rumors. Because it suggests unfinished business. Fans instantly split into camps. One side accused 50 Cent of stirring mess for attention, claiming he thrives on chaos and controversy. The other side pointed out something uncomfortable. 50 Cent doesn't need attention. he manufactures it. And when he chooses a target, it's usually someone powerful enough to survive the hit, but sensitive enough to feel it. What raised eyebrows wasn't just the claim, it was the timing. Jay-Z's legacy is in its golden era, billionaire-less, cultural respect, family man image, the kind of phase where scandals aren't supposed to resurface. And yet here it was, back in circulation. Like it never left. Then came the silence. No immediate denial. No aggressive shutdown. No spokesperson calling it false and defamatory. Just nothing. And in internet culture, silence isn't neutral. It's interpreted. Fans began dissecting old lyrics, interviews, and timelines like amateur detectives. Suddenly, metaphor felt like confession. Coincidence felt suspicious. Lines about secrets and consequences took on new meaning. Is that fair? Maybe not. But perception doesn't care about fairness. The idea that a man so obsessed with legacy and lineage could have a hidden chapter was irresistible. Because it humanizes him while threatening everything he's built. This isn't about money or status. It's about narrative control. And once control slips, even slightly, people lean in harder. Meanwhile, 50 Cent didn't elaborate. That was the smartest move he could have made, because explanation invites debate. Silence invites obsession. He let reaction channels, blogs, and comment sections do the heavy lifting. And they did it enthusiastically. Screenshots resurfaced. Old blog posts were archived. Names were whispered with disclaimers. Everyone careful to say alleged, but nobody willing to stop talking. The alleged daughter narrative became the center of the storm. Not a confirmed identity, but a supposed one the internet claimed it had figured out. That's when things escalated from rumor to frenzy. Because once the internet thinks it solves something, it doesn't let go easily. Jay-Z's supporters pushed back hard, arguing that rumors about children are off limits, irresponsible and potentially harmful. And they weren't wrong, but critics countered with another uncomfortable truth. Power often determines which rumors get buried and which ones get airtime. And watching this story resurface felt like watching the internet test that boundary. Industry insiders stayed quiet publicly, but whispers started circulating. Claims that this was one of those stories everyone heard but nobody confirmed. That legal pressure, influence, and reputation kept it contained. Whether those whispers are true or not almost became irrelevant, because the belief that they could be true was enough to keep the conversation alive. And here's where the tension really set in. Jay-Z has addressed deeply personal mistakes before. Infidelity, family struggles, vulnerability. He's built an image around honesty and accountability, which made the silence on this topic feel louder. Fans weren't demanding confirmation. They were demanding acknowledgement. And not getting it made people restless. Every day without a response added fuel. Not because silence proves guilt. It doesn't, but because silence invites imagination. And imagination online is ruthless. The scariest part of this moment wasn't the allegation itself. It was the realization that even the most polished legacies are vulnerable to unresolved questions. Once doubt enters the narrative, it doesn't need evidence to survive. It just needs repetition. 50 Cent didn't drop proof. He dropped pressure. And pressure does one of two things. It cracks the truth open. Or it exposes how hard someone is working to keep it sealed. Once the rumor re-entered the bloodstream of the internet, it didn't just circulate, it multiplied. What 50 Cent allegedly reignited stopped being a whisper and started behaving like a full-blown social experiment. The kind where everyone participates whether they want to or not. Because once a story threatens a legacy that polished, curiosity turns into obsession almost instantly. The memes hit first because memes are the internet's way of sharpening knives while laughing. Jay-Z photos started floating around with captions like "Legacy under review," "Billionaire DLC pending," and "That chapter didn't make the book." Savage? Absolutely. But memes don't care about dignity. They care about engagement. And this story was engagement gold. Then came the timeline hunters. Fans started pulling old interviews, lyrics, and appearances like they were reviewing surveillance footage. Every line about responsibility, secrecy, or consequences was suddenly treated like a coded message. Was it intentional? Probably not. Did that stop anyone? not even slightly. Because once people decide a narrative might exist, they'll reverse engineer. Meaning until something fits, the alleged identity leak became the accelerant, not confirmed, not verified, but identified by the internet, which is somehow worse. Because when social media believes it cracked a mystery, it doesn't pause to ask if it should. Screenshots circulated with disclaimers in tiny font and confidence in all caps. Accounts swore they had receipts. Others warned against speculation. The warning posts went viral right alongside the speculation itself, which is peak internet hypocrisy. Celebrity reactions added another layer without ever saying names. Subtle tweets, strategic emojis, vague posts about truth, legacy, and keeping family matters private. Nothing direct, but nothing accidental. In pop culture, subtweets are like smoke alarms. They don't tell you where the fire is, but they tell you something's burning. Some artists laughed it off publicly, dismissing the rumor as nonsense. Others went suspiciously quiet. And silence, once again, became part of the story. Because when people with platforms choose not to speak, audiences assume there's a reason. Whether that reason is respect, legal caution, or pure exhaustion doesn't matter. The gap gets filled either way. Public outrage split into new lanes. One group argued that bringing alleged children into rumors is irresponsible and harmful, regardless of who's involved. Another group countered that powerful figures benefit from privacy in ways others never do, and that questioning power isn't cruelty, it's accountability. The debate stopped being about Jay-Z specifically and started being about who gets protected by silence. And through all of this, 50 Cent stayed quiet. That silence wasn't accidental. It was tactical. He didn't need to defend himself or clarify his intent. He had already dropped the spark. Watching others argue over it was part of the show. 50 understands something fundamental about modern controversy. Once the audience takes over, the originator becomes irrelevant. Pop culture commentators compared the moment to other long-running celebrity rumors that lingered for decades before being quietly reframed or partially acknowledged. The comparisons didn't prove anything, but they kept the conversation alive. Familiarity breeds suspicion, and suspicion breeds clicks. The alleged Kathy White connection resurfaced heavily. During this phase, old blog posts were archived. Deleted pages were resurrected through screenshots. Dates were analyzed. Names were whispered with caution. The internet treated the story like a cold case that never officially closed. Not because it had answers, but because it had questions. What made this phase particularly uncomfortable was how it clashed with Jay-Z's carefully cultivated narrative of growth and transparency. He's spoken openly about mistakes. He's built an image around accountability, and that openness raised expectations. Because when someone is known for addressing personal truths, silence on one topic feels intentional. Brands and media outlets handled the story like it was radioactive. Headlines were wrapped in legal cushioning, alleged, resurfaced, unverified claims, every word carefully chosen. Nobody wanted a lawsuit, but nobody wanted to miss the traffic. Controversy doesn't need confirmation to be profitable. It just needs attention. Reaction videos flooded timelines. Some creators treated the story like comedy. Others approached it like investigative journalism. Some pretended neutrality while leaning into shock thumbnails. Everyone wanted a piece. And every new take added fuel to the fire. Jay-Z's lack of response continued to dominate the conversation. No denial. No clarification. No artistic response. Just distance. Supporters argued that ignoring baseless rumors is the smartest move. Critics argued that silence protects power more than truth. Neither side budged. And the longer the silence lasted, the more entrenched both positions became. The narrative shifted again when people started asking what happens if the rumor is false. False allegations don't need to be proven to cause damage. They just need repetition. And by this point, repetition was everywhere. Even people criticizing the rumor were repeating it. The name, the claim, the context, all of it spreading whether intended or not. That's how modern scandals work. Participation is unavoidable. The conversation became less about truth and more about impact. about how easily doubt can attach itself to even the most polished image, about how fame magnifies everything, including silence. Jay-Z didn't lose status, he didn't lose influence. But the conversation around him changed tone, slightly, enough to notice. And just when it seemed like the story might start cooling down, a new question began trending beneath all the noise. By the time the noise started thinning out, the impact had already settled in. Not like a bomb that leaves smoke and sirens, but like a hairline crack in marble that you can't unsee once you notice it. That's how this alleged leak landed. It didn't tear down Jay-Z's empire. It made people look at it twice. And for a legacy built on control, that second look is expensive. Reputations at this level don't implode. They recalibrate. Conversations shift. Comment sections hesitate. Jokes land differently. The question stops being, is it true? And quietly becomes, why does this story keep coming back? And that question is far more dangerous because it doesn't require proof to live rent-free in public memory. Jay-Z's image has always been architected like a museum exhibit. Each room carefully curated, the rise, the hustler mythos, the mistakes admitted on his own terms, the redemption arc wrapped in family, growth, and generational wealth. It feels complete, which is exactly why an alleged missing room unsettles people. Not because it's confirmed, but because it suggests the blueprint might have a blind spot. Supporters rallied quickly, arguing that unverified claims about family cross a line and that privacy should still exist, even for icons. Critics countered with an uncomfortable truth. Power often determines which rumors get buried and which ones get airtime. And watching this story linger felt like the internet testing whether silence still works in an era built on constant disclosure. Behind the scenes, the consequences were subtle but real. Brands didn't flee, deals didn't evaporate. But risk conversations change tone when uncertainty enters the room. Legal teams advise caution, PR teams tighten language. Media outlets handle coverage like it's wrapped in glass. Even unproven allegations can alter the temperature. And temperature matters when you're protecting a brand valued in billions. Meanwhile, 50 Cent remained absent from the follow-up. No clarification, no victory lap, no escalation. And that absence was just as strategic as the initial stir. He understands something fundamental about modern controversy. Once the audience takes over, the originator doesn't need to say another word. Impact doesn't require explanation. It requires ignition. Some called him reckless. Others called him calculated. Both can be true. What's undeniable is that he forced a conversation no one wanted to host. And once hosted, conversations don't politely leave. They linger. They echo. They resurface when context changes. The alleged identity chatter gradually cooled, not because it was resolved, but because attention moved on. That's the internet's cycle. New scandals arrive. New names trend, but residue remains. Every time Jay-Z's name reappears, a few comments whisper the same question, not loudly. Just enough to remind everyone it exists. That's how stories survive in the digital age through memory, not headlines. What shifted most was how people talked about legacy itself. Legacy isn't just accomplishments stacked tall. It's the narrative that explains them. And narratives are fragile when unresolved questions hang in the margins. A single unanswered rumor can't erase decades of work, but it can change the way that work is discussed. Slightly, persistently. Some fans hoped Jay-Z would address the rumor artistically, folding speculation into music the way he's done with personal truths before. Others believe silence was the final decision, that acknowledging it would only give oxygen to something undeserving. Both positions make sense. Neither offers closure. And closure is what the internet craves most. As time passed, the story became less about the alleged claim and more about what it revealed about fame. That no level of success fully shields you from curiosity. That silence doesn't always smother speculation. And that once a narrative cracks, even a little, people rush to peer inside. For the industry, the lesson was clear and uncomfortable. Control is temporary. Influence can slow stories down, but it can't erase interest. And when someone with nothing to lose decides to poke the myth, The ripple reaches far beyond the initial claim. The real fallout wasn't legal or financial. It was psychological. The reminder that even the most fortified images are vulnerable to doubt, and doubt doesn't need evidence to persist. It only needs repetition and time. This story didn't end with a reveal. It ended with a pause where silence speaks, a pause where memory lingers, a pause where the next headline is already warming up. Whether this alleged chapter fades into obscurity or resurfaces again depends on one thing: what replaces it. Because in pop culture, rumors don't disappear. They wait. If this story had you sitting there like, nah, this can't be real. But why does it feel unfinished? Then congratulations, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Now don't just think it. Say it. Drop a comment and tell us what side you're on. Is this just another recycled rumor weaponized for chaos, or did 50 Cent press on a pressure point nobody wanted touched? No safe answers. Pick a lane. Now smash that like button like it just leaked your private messages and tried to blame autocorrect. Don't tap it gently. Hit it with disrespect. That's how the algorithm knows this conversation matters, and trust me, platforms love controversy more than they love peace. If you're not subscribed yet, that's a mistake you can fix in 2 seconds. Because stories like this don't come with calendar invites. They drop out of nowhere, flip timelines upside down, and disappear just as fast, unless you're already locked in. Turn on notifications so you're never catching up late while everyone else already arguing. And let's be clear, this channel isn't here to babysit celebrity images or swallow headlines without chewing. We question power, we dissect legacies, we talk about the stories people whisper about but never want trending with their name attached. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. That means you're paying attention. So tell us, does silence protect a legacy, or does it quietly damage it over time? Was 50 Cent reckless or perfectly calculated like always? Scroll down and let the comments section explode. Because here we don't chase rumors,